The Supreme Court, in a historic interim order, has placed the Sedition Act in abeyance. 152 years later, the colonial law is facing a challenge from the Indian people and the courts. Successive governments in the 75 years of independence never sought to do away with this draconian law. Instead, it was used to charge and jail citizens in the thousands. Even now, many are in jail, with journalists also being charged with sedition in several cases. The Supreme Court order, in response to petitions by a retired army officer, editors, and others, has given relief. The final order is awaited, but the government too has registered a change of heart. From a sedition law's essential stance to a not so, we are reviewing it position.
Welcome to another edition of Off Limits. Our guest this week is Major General Sudhir Vombatkere, who is retired from the Indian Army in 1996. He holds a PhD degree in structural dynamics from the IIT Madras and has at least 800 papers published in national and international journals. So welcome to Off Limits, General. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you.
So, well, we are here because you are an army officer who has approached the courts on an issue which does not have really strictly anything to do with the Indian Army, and that is the sedition law, which has been in force in this country for 152 years. And you were one of the petitioners who went to the Supreme Court, which has now given an interim order on this. So before we discuss the order, I want to know what really motivated you to approach the court.
I think my motivation for approaching the court was that I had noticed in the course of the activism which I have been doing post-retirement, that there is a lot of injustice by successive governments. I'm not talking about this one in particular, successive state and central governments against the people. And sedition was one of the issues, like in the demonstrations against the Kudankulam nuclear power reactor in Tamil Nadu. On one day, they have charged some 2,000 people in 81 cases of sedition, and including waging war against the state. I thought it was unjust, and so I got into this particular thing of the Sedition Act, among other things.
So it's amazing, no? For 152 years, we've had this law, and out of that is 75 years of independence. And successive governments, as you said, have not even thought of tackling it. In fact, have enforced it against our people. What does this say of Indian democracy, according to you?
Indian democracy it's a functioning democracy, but it has got its warts. And we are in the business of sorting out the things which are not right with the democracy, because there can be no perfect democracy. But in this, in the present case, we are having a large number of sedition cases in the last 10 years, much more than earlier. And the sedition cases earlier also, as now, are politically motivated, regardless of which political party is ruling the country. So it is a question of the people suffering because of injustices caused by governments.
Right. So as part of the Editors Guild of India, we've sort of walked a little bit along with you on this particular journey. What do you and how do you see the court's interim order on this?
I think the court's interim order is welcome, and it has the interim order was actually initiated by the U-turn that the government took in its stance on the sedition law. they were supporting the sedition law until the, I think, 7th of May. And on the 9th of May, they made a U-turn saying that we will examine the sedition law and or review the sedition law, and so there is no need for the court to proceed with the hearings. So the court has said that in the interim, since government could not give a date by which the review would be completed, the court expressed the concern regarding those people who are already charged with sedition, and said that in the meantime we have to give them relief. So that was the reason for the interim order.
So I'm going to ask you, I mean, of course, this is a question which we've got some answers to from our lawyers, and it's really should be strictly addressed to them. But since you have the direct feedback, it would be good if you were able to tell our viewers as to what exactly is gained from the order for the layperson charged with sedition as of today, or who might be charged as of tomorrow.
Oh, well, the court has, in the interim order, the court has said that persons who are charged with sedition will be now able to apply for bail. And those who are, and stayed the investigations on ongoing cases. And those who, and if there are fresh cases, then the respective, the people charged will have access to the courts, and the courts, the high courts and the trial courts, they have to take cognizance of this interim order.
So, you know, in these times of polarization, where people are all taking sides, you have a lot of criticism, actually, even from persons who were against the sedition law and who are reading all kinds of themes into the judgment and warning you of something or the other that might happen tomorrow. What would you like to say to skeptics at this particular juncture?
I am referring to those people who are supporting the tradition law.
Yes, no, who are against it and would have liked it to be scrapped. Yeah. I don't know if you've heard those noises, but there are voices expressing apprehension that this is just a momentary thing and it's all going to move in another direction.
I don't know. I wouldn't agree with them. I think the Honorable Supreme Court is perfectly competent to take up the matter in the true interest of justice for the people of India. And I have complete confidence in the Supreme Court that they will do the right thing by the people of India.
So then there are other laws. Now, you know, this has shown that the way out can be through the legal route, because a bunch of petitioners with you in the lead have actually approached the court on a law with considerable evidence of it being misused. Do you think a similar thing can be done for other laws like the UAPA, which actually was brought by the Congress government, right?
Of course, I think it can be done, and it should be done, because like MISA was withdrawn. In the same way, the courts would, I am sure they would see the injustice of these laws, of these draconian laws, and if there are cases filed before the court, I am sure they will address the issues and make appropriate judgments.
Right. Now that I have you online, General, I'm going to move a little bit away from the sedition law, because you've explained it so perfectly and so concisely, and ask you the question which I actually want to also, is about religion and the Indian Army, you know, in the sense that how does this play out in the Indian Army? And is the soldier encouraged to be religious, or is he encouraged to be secular? Is he encouraged to be secular and religious both?
You see, the issue is not so simple. I think it is well known that before any soldier goes into battle, he goes to he prays. He prays for naturally for his own life, and I'm sure at back of his mind is the lives of his family, in case he is killed in battle or grievously injured or disabled. The question of the individual soldier who is a fighter going to pray is reality, and he needs a place to pray. So in our Indian Army, we have got soldiers from all religions, all regions, all languages, all cultural backgrounds. And so we give them a place where they can pray. And they create the place within the unit, within the formations, within even the static units and headquarters. Depending on the kind of troops who are in that unit, we have a place, the Sarvadhamasthala, which in the case of my regiment, which is the Madras Sappers, we have the mandir, we have the masjid, and we have the church. We don't have any Sikh troops, so we don't have a Gurudwara. Similarly, in other regiments and other corps, they've got appropriate places of worship for the soldiers. And that is not only before they go into battle. Even in normal times, even in peace areas, soldiers, like anybody else, they need a place to pray and practice their religion. So this is a place created within the within the units. I'm not sure whether everybody knows that the Indian Army, at least, has got a place, got an institution called the Institution for National Integration. That is located in INI, is located in Pune, within the premises of the College of Military Engineering. And in the INI, we train religious teachers. They're called RTs, religious teachers, in their respective religions. And whenever the role of these religious teachers is to receive the oath from every soldier when he is attested as a soldier after his period of training. And so on the attestation parade, you have the Pandit, the Muslim teacher, the Momin, the priest, Christian priest, and the Granthi, who are there on parade, and they go past the standing troops who hold their hand forward and take oath on their respective holy books.
Okay. Okay, so that is something that is being practiced right through without any issues or problems, right?
Without any issues of?
Any kind of problems, any issues, any kind of political...
Rather than problems, I think it shows integration of our troops, because in the festivals which units celebrate, people of soldiers of all the religions, they take part in all the festivals of the different religions.
Excellent tradition in the Indian Army, been allowed by the political successive governments without any hindrance or hurdles. It's something that you've been left fairly free to follow, right?
Yes, but I don't think the word allowed would be correct. This is a tradition. This is a tradition of the Indian Army and the Indian Armed Forces, the other two services. And there is no question of being allowed to do it. It is a tradition, and the tradition is much older than the Indian government, since independence.
Right. You know, there is this problem of recruitment, or at least that's how we are hearing it in the media, that the Indian Army has not accelerated its recruitment drive, given the shortfall in personnel, soldiers as well as officers, right?
No, I wouldn't say. It would be difficult to say that the Army has not accelerated its drive. There is a proposal, as I said, which I don't know whether it is official, but it has appeared in the media also, that they are planning to start a program of recruitment called Tour of Duty. And that tour of duty is to recruit young men, and I don't know about women, into the army for a period of 3 years or 5 years, and after which they will go back into their civilian life. That is a temporary measure to fill up the vacancies. But the advantages and disadvantages of that are still being discussed among veterans and among many others, whether it will be actually useful or not.
But why has there been this, there was a time, at least I think post-independence probably, where the Indian Army was always a sort of and sought after profession, and over the years it suffered and it started complaining, and we as journalists started hearing of the shortfall. Was there a reason for this?
The shortfall has been for many years after independence in the officer cadre. It has not been in the other ranks cadre. But rather more recently, I believe the shortfall is there also in the other ranks cadre.
So it's corporatization and big money that probably has interfered with recruitments or sufficient recruits.
I can't really say because I have not studied the issue, but the fact is that there is a shortfall now. But also we must remember that the face of the battlefield is changing. We may not require so many soldiers with boots on the ground, except for because of the increase in the accent on cyber warfare. So we may need less boots on the ground, but that again involves the question of how many troops are required for internal security. And that is a big question, because a large proportion of our troops are deployed on internal security duties.
Right. So that makes a lot of sense. I'm going to ask my last question and go back to the first topic. Why is it, in your view, as an army officer, why do governments need these draconian laws? I mean, all governments seem to rely increasingly on them, and even as laws like the Sedition Law or the Sedition Act is not reversed, new draconian laws are brought in over the years, have been brought.
Draconian laws are not desirable in a democracy. So it's got nothing to do with the defense services.
No. Why do you think that successive governments bring in draconian laws? The same politician or the political party in opposition is always opposing such laws, but when it comes to power, it feels the need to enact them. Why?
Yes, I understand the question, but I would not like to answer it as an army officer.
Okay.
As a citizen, I've already said that draconian laws are not good in a democracy. Period.
Right. Okay, fine. We'll leave that as the last word. Thank you so much, General Vombatkere. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. 152 years of the Sedition Law. And this is the first time that the Supreme Court has been approached to issue an interim order and put this in abeyance. We are awaiting the final order, but even so, there is relief. Of these 152 years, 75 years have been in independent India, where successive governments have resorted and used draconian laws to help them govern. The same political parties who in opposition oppose such laws feel the need to enact them, implement them, use them against the people of India. Why is the question that we have been asking and will continue to ask. Thank you.